Just do your thing here, bud. Nobody's any better at this than you are.
That's fine. Take a deep breath.
Give them hell at the end. You like this?
Fight like hell like we do every week. You are the best here.
Brett, be affirmative.
You told me to get on.
Info. Ready. Ready. Go slow. Green, green, green. Lock it down, lock it down.
I'm destroyed, and I just got drove through like 6 times by the 14th. What the f*** is he thinking? That is the stupidest thing I've seen in my career. Literally.
Everything you described is accurate. Haven't even finished the second stage yet. Half the field's wrecked.
Hell yeah!
11 got it. Proud of you there, Matt. Good job, pal. Thanks, man. Good job all day. Great work, my man. Great work.
Keep putting yourself in position, we'll win our share, right? We got one back today, brother. Good job.
10-4, great job, guys.
Best. Hey. All right, let's go back and start from the beginning. All right, sorry about that. All right, well, that was interesting. Let's start from the beginning. Welcome to Racing in the Draft. My name is Mark, and we are at a hometown track for me, Richmond, Virginia. Very fortunate to live very close to Richmond and get to go to the race today. Went to the truck race last night where Chandler Smith just dominated the field. And if you like Major League Baseball games with pitching contests, you would have liked last night's race. 1 caution for incident on the track, 2 cautions for stage breaks, and lots of comers and goers because of tire wear. Tire wear is going to be significantly increased today in the Cup Series. It's going to be much warmer than what we saw in the spring race. Yeah, when we had 50-ish degree days for the spring race, we're going to have mid-80s today and bright sunshine. The track's going to heat up, the tires are going to wear, so it's going to be very important to manage those tires and have long run speed. Don't get those tires angry or it will pay the price. But But I think we'll see something kind of similar. I think it's going to be a pit strategy duel today. It's going to be crew chiefs that are going to make decisions. Not sure how many cautions we'll end up seeing, but it's always interesting to kind of watch these races. It's and how they kind of unfold. But either way, Denny Hamlin definitely had the pit strategy in the spring. Will he have it again this weekend? I don't know. His pit crew has not been kind to him, and he has not been kind to himself on pit road. But either way, what an interesting race last weekend where Kevin Harvick surprised everyone and clinched himself a shot at the playoffs. Looks like he's solidly in there, even with a few extra, if we happen to get to 16 or 17 winners, which Martin Truex Jr. might punch his ticket today. Who knows? But yeah, I didn't have a whole lot of Kevin, and you did. You were on the right side of things. So definitely did not predict that one, and definitely did not see Bubba Wallace doing as well as he did throughout the entire race. But our optimal lineups from Michigan: Kevin Harvick, Denny Hamlin, Ryan Blaney, Austin Dillon, Bubba Wallace, and Brad Keselowski. This is like the 10th out of 11th week that we have seen the pole sitter make the optimal lineup. Can Kyle Larson do that again today? Yeah, this is not one of his best tracks. He does fairly well here, but not one of his best tracks. But we didn't really have a dominator last week at Michigan. I mean, we had Kevin Harvick, who led 38, Denny Hamlin led 38, Bubba Wallace led 22. So wouldn't call any of them dominators, but we had three kind of front-running leaders. Place differential was huge. We had 4 place differential guys. Kevin Harvick coming from 16th to end up winning. Ryan Blaney 24th to 5th. Austin Dillon 26th to 13th. And Brad K 33rd to 15th. So other optimal lineup guys were Alex Bowman, Kyle Larson, Joey Logano, Martin Truex. Some of the value guys, Ty Dillon ended up making it in there. Ty Gibbs, how about Ty Gibbs? Now 3 races into his Cup career, I guess, all top 20s or top 18s at least, and getting his first top 10. So good for Ty. Our optimal lineup challenge after 23 races, Ross Chastain still holds on to the top spot, barely by 1 over Chase Elliott and Eric Jones. Can Eric Jones tie Ross Chastain? Or can Ross Chastain extend his lead today? I don't know. We're going to find out here in about 3.5 hours. All right, but that was Michigan. Let's look forward to today, and today at Richmond for the Federated Auto Parts 400 at Richmond. It's a short track. It's 0.75 miles in length and 14 degrees in the turns. Race length is 400 laps. But when you're turning laps in the 23 to 24 second range, they go by in a hurry. So this race won't take too long, probably 3 hours and 15 minutes or so. Dominator points today will be something to absolutely look at, with 280 Dominator points up for grabs. That'll consist of 100 points from laps led and 180 points from fast laps. Clean air was king last night, so who can ever jump out front early and save their tires and maintain will have a really good race. So let's kind of break down. We look at Richmond, of course, as our track comparisons. We will also look at Martinsville, Phoenix, and Nashville, kind of to give us some semblance of what to expect today. But the definite great indicator will be looking back at our Richmond races, which we are looking at the spring race and the 2 races from last year, the 1 race we had in 2020 and the fall race in 2019. If you are new to the channel, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Hit me up in the chat if you have your pick for today. Who's going to come from the back? Who's going to be our place differential? Who's going to be our dominator? Who's going to be our winner? Will we have another surprise winner? Will we get to 16 today? It's going to be interesting. Martin Truex Jr. is definitely primed and ready to possibly take that spot. Kyle Busch. So we're going to break down this square here and kind of go through it, and then we'll go through the rest of them fairly quickly if you're new here. But Kyle Busch, 11,400, most expensive guy in Draftkings today. He qualified at 29th. Not great. His practice laps. So he was 11th on single speed. He did 33 total laps in practice. And these are lap averages. So if they made a 10 lap consecutive, this would be their speed. Oops. He was 7th overall in 10 lap average and 6th in 20 lap average. A lot of the guys did make it 20 laps, and if they didn't, I just indicated it with they didn't go that far. But Kyle Larson does have 6 wins here at Richmond, but none in the last 5 races. He does have 1 top 5 and 5 top 10s, though, in the last 5 races here at Richmond, with a 62.7 Draftkings average and a 6.8 average finish. Pretty darn good. He finished 9th here in the spring race. He's got 33 total starts. He's got 6 wins, 18 top 5s, 26 top 10s, and 32 out of 33 top 20s. So he's only finished once outside the top 20. Starting 29th, that bodes pretty well for a lot of place differential, which is one of the main reasons, along with these other stats, that Kyle Busch is number 1 on the rankings this week. I do have him in 20 to 25% of my lineups because of his price tag is pretty hefty. So to fit a couple of these guys in, and I'm not sure he becomes a dominator. I think he's a great place differential play, but so for place differential play, that's expensive. As a dominator, not so much. Denny Hamlin, $11,000, starting 3rd. So just the opposite of Kyle Busch. I think Denny Hamlin potentially could be one of our dominators today. And as we look, he did win the spring race here. And that was a strategy play completely by his pit crew. Did not lead a lot of laps, but in the last 5 races here at Richmond, he's got that 1 win from the spring, but 4 top 5s, 4 top 10s, and 5 top 20s with an 84.5 Draftkings average and a 4th place average finish. 31 total starts with 4 wins, 16 top 5s, and 20 top 10s. So his practice speeds, he was 6th in single lap, 5th in 10 lap, and 3rd in 20 laps. So all indications are Denny Hamlin should run in the top 5 all day, if not lead some laps. But his pit crew and himself on pit road have bitten him more than once this year. I think I saw the stat of 31 times, and we're now just at race 24. So he's averaging more than 1 per race where the pit crew or himself have issues on pit road. So that worries me a little bit starting 3rd. Chase Elliott, 10,800, starting 23rd. Decent amount of PD upside potential here, but Chase Elliott is not great at Richmond. He's not bad either. He does not have a win at Richmond in any of his 13 total starts, but in the last 5, all of them in the top 20 and 2 of those in the top 10 with a 9.8 average finish. And he finished 14th here in the spring race. He was 8th in single lap practice, 3rd in 10 lap, and 2nd in 20 laps. So practice speeds were really good and just missed on qualifying, which could potentially give us some room for PD upside. I think Chase Elliott is potentially a top 10 driver today. I'm not sure he's a top 5 driver today. But if he can work his way up to 7, 8, 9, that's a decent amount of PD upside. Now the problem is he is 10,800, and that's a little expensive for a PD play. So 2nd on the rankings, and so these are my percentages that I have in my lineups, and I run about 40 different lineups. I've got Kyle Busch in about 20 to 25%, Denny Hamlin in 30 to 35%, and Chase Elliott in 20 to 25% of my lineups. Hey, hit me up in the chat if you're just joining in. Would love to hear your thoughts about today's race at Richmond. Martin Truex Jr., 10,600. Martin needs a win. He's going to do everything he can to get a win. He is going to set himself up for whatever pit strategy he thinks is going to win this race. He almost had it won in the spring, and the tires just fell off at the end, and Denny Hamlin and Kevin Harvick ended up getting by him there at the end. So 4th place finish for Martin Truex Jr., but so far this weekend has been pretty good for Martin Truex Jr. He has a total of 37 practice laps. He was 5th in single lap, 4th in 10 lap, and 5th in 20 lap. So right there in the top 10, right where he needs to be, starting 6th. Martin Truex Jr. should potentially get himself out front or run in the top 5. Now, can he get there at the finish and win this weekend? Time will tell. But 2 wins out of the last 5 races. All 5 races he's been in the top 5. That's impressive. All 5 of the last Richmond races he's finished in the top 5. With a 2.6 average finish, he finished 4th in the spring race, an 83.3 Draftkings average. So between Denny Hamlin and Martin Truex Jr. have been just absolutely dominant. So definitely expect the Toyotas to probably continue. At least between those two, their practice speeds were really good. I mean, even Kyle Busch's practice speeds were really good, but he just missed on qualifying. The track changed a ton during both practice sessions and all the qualifying sessions. Speeds were up and down and all over the place. All right, our pole sitter for today, Kyle Larson at 10,300. You know, I don't love pole sitters, and I don't love pole sitters when their practice speeds are not great. Kyle Larson was 17th in single lap speeds, 29 total laps. He was 11th in 10 lap average and 10th in 20 laps. Starting from the pole, that doesn't bode well for DraftKings. I mean, I think Kyle Larson could be a top 10 or even top 5 today, but it scares me when you're starting from the pole and your practice speeds don't really have anything to back it up. He does have one win here in Richmond, but not in the last 5, where he's only got 1 top 5, 3 top 10s, and 4 top 20s. A 9th place average finish, finished 5th in the spring. I just don't love the starting spot for Kyle. I think he could end up having a top 10, but that's, you know, he's also not been real consistent this year, so little worried on that. But either way, we'll keep on going here. Ross Chastain, fast in practice, first on single lap, first in 10 lap. Definitely dropped off by the 20th lap, but like I said, this track changed a ton, and tire wear was big. So Ross is fast out of the gate. Can he get by Kyle Larson at the start of this thing? Potentially. But Ross is starting second. Don't love the starting spot, but his practice speeds do back it up where Kyle Larson's don't. Ross was fast at the beginning of the race in the spring and then fell off towards the end where he finished 19th. He's got a 19.5 average finish here. Only 1 top 10 out of the 7 total starts. Yeah, I just don't love the starting spot here, so only 25 to 30% ownership on Ross. They've definitely had speed in their cars. All right, next in line here, Ryan Blaney, 9,900. Starting 10th, Ryan's another one who is just sitting in 16th, sitting top 5 in points, but he is the last guy in because he's the highest point getter without a win. He needs a win to secure himself in. So the real interesting race today will be Ryan Blaney versus Martin Truex Jr. Well, if we look at our stats, Martin Truex Jr. should kill him. 12 total starts here and only 2 top 10s. No top 5s for Ryan Blaney. He was faster here in the spring race than he had been previously, where he finished 7th. His practice speeds were okay. 21st in single lap. He did 42 laps of practice. 9th in 10 lap average and 4th in 20 lap average. Starting 10th. Yeah, don't love his starting spot. Don't love any of his stats. But he is going to have to throw. He's going to have to play some pit strategy if today runs the way that the truck race ran and that the spring race ran. Not a lot of cautions, not a lot of chance to make adjustments. So it's going to be interesting. I don't love Ryan Blaney today, so I'm only at 10 to 15% ownership. There's just too many other better opportunities than with Ryan Blaney, at least for DraftKings. It will be fun to watch the Ryan Blaney, Martin Truex Jr. Saga play out today and how they end up racing the race today. And remember, they're only 19 points apart. So, I mean, literally, if Ryan doesn't make the top 10 in stage 1 and Martin Truex Jr. finishes first, that gap closes up to 9. If he does it again in second stage, then Martin Truex Jr. could overtake Ryan Blaney for the points battle for the 16th and final spot. So, very interesting, even with a points battle between Ryan Blaney and Martin Truex Jr. Christopher Bell here. Next, 9,600 coming out of that Toyota camp. Toyota's really typically very quick here. Christopher Bell practice laps were not great, and it showed in qualifying. So 21st starting spot, 18th overall in practice 1 lap speeds, 33 total laps, 19th in 10 laps, and 15th in 20 laps. But he was really good at a very similar track, not real similar, but kind of flat, and won the race up in New Hampshire. Tire wear is going to be fairly similar, so I definitely would not write Christopher Bell off. I think he's much better than 21st. Can he be as good as his brethren in the Toyotas and get himself into the top 5? Very potential. He did finish 6th here in the spring race, and he does have a win here at Richmond. 4 times he's raced here. So yeah, Christopher Bell definitely has some potential. I'm not sure Christopher Bell actually is. These stats are much more. Yeah, he does not have a win here, but it does have 2 top 5s, 3 top 10s, and 4 top 20s. I just misprinted that. I thought I double checked everything. All right, Joe Logano, 9,300, starting 17th. Decent practice speeds. A little bit better than what he qualified. 13th. Did 47 total laps in practice. 10th and 10-lap average, and 8th and 20-lap average. Joey likes this track. He usually performs fairly well at it. 6 total starts, or not, I'm sorry, 6 on the power ranking. I've got him in 25% of my lineups. 26 total starts with 2 wins, 12 top 5s, 15 top 10s, and 22 out of the 26 are top 20s. 8th place average finished in his last 5 starts, so decent amount of PD upside potential if he finishes 8th again today. But Joey Logano's been just inconsistent start so far this year. So little, not heavy on Joey, but also not fading on Joey. I do like his PD upside potential. So 25% ownership in Joey. Our winner from last week punched his ticket into the playoffs, Kevin Harvick, 9,100. Starting 13th, 19th in single lap average, 39 total laps. 13th in 10 lap average, and 12th in 20 lap average. So he practiced where he is starting. And I think Kevin probably finishes about where he starts, maybe even getting into the top 10. But momentum is also very big. He did finish 2nd here at this race in the spring. Won the race last week and has been headed in the right direction for the last 4 or 5 weeks. So does Kevin Harvick back up his win with another solid finish, or even potentially a win today? Not sure Kevin would be a pick for a win today, but he potentially could be a top 5 or top 10. Is that enough to have him in your lineups? Potentially. 9,100. 9.8 average finish here in the last 5 races, a 38.7 Draftkings average, 1 top 5, 4 top 10s. I think he may finish where he starts or just crack the top 10. I've got him in 25 to 30% of my lineups. All right, Tyler Reddick, 8,800, starting 26th. And he was 2nd fastest in practice. He did 25 laps. He was 2nd in 5-lap average, but he never had any 10-lap consecutives, where a lot of these guys had 10, 20. I even saw some guys that had 30-lap consecutive average. So Tyler Reddick, I guess, felt really good about his car in practice and then just slipped in qualifying. He's not great here. He doesn't have a top 10, but 4 top 20, so all 4 of his races he finished in the top 20. So I do like his starting spot. Good PD upside potential. Pricing is okay for a PD upside play. I've got him in 25% of my lineups. All right, anybody out there that's watching, make sure you hit me up in the chat. Who do you like today? Who do you think comes from the back? Who do you think dominates? And who just has a great finish? Does Martin Truex Jr. punch his ticket today? Does Ryan Blaney continue to pad his points lead? Do we have a new winner? Does Eric Jones come out, win this thing? All right, William Byron, 8,600, starting 4th. Boy, his practice speeds were not great to have a 4th place starting spot. So good on William for his qualifying, not so good for his practice speed. So that has me a little bit worried. Don't love his starting spot. Didn't back it up with practice. So I'm fading off of William Byron. I've got him in 10 to 15% of my lineups. I mean, his stats here are not bad, but they're not great. In the last 5, he's got 1 top 5, 2 top 10s, and 3 top 20s. 15th place average finish. He did finish 3rd here in the spring race, and he's been running a lot more short tracks. So, can William Byron hang in the top 5? Maybe. I think more realistic is much more of a top 10, which doesn't bode well for Draftkings. Alex Bowman does have a win here, 8,400. Now, it was kind of a... He only led to like the last 10 laps to win that race, but starting 5th, practice speeds don't back up his qualifying, so that has me a little bit concerned with Alex Bowman. And as you can see, I only have him in 1 or 2 lineups. Even with his win here, it just kind of scares me. Starting 5th with a 10.8 average finish, and only 3 of the last 5 starts he's finished in the top 10. So I don't love the Alex Bowman play starting 5th. So this could be the one that might bite me today if Alex Bowman ends up having a solid run. Daniel Suarez, 8,200, starting 24th. Decent amount of PD upside potential here with Daniel. He was 8th in single lap, 23rd in 10 lap, and did not do a 20 lap run in practice. He's got a 17.6 average finish over the last 5 races here. He finished 16th here in the spring race. I don't love Daniel Suarez today, but I don't mind Daniel Suarez today. So I've got him in 15 to 20% of my lineups, 8th on my ranking charts. I think Daniel could get away with a top 15 type race today. I'm not sure he might break into the top 10. I'm not sure he breaks into the top 5. So not completely faded out on Daniel, but also not heavy on Daniel Suarez today. Bubba Wallace, $8,000. One of the most consistent drivers over the last 4 races. I'm not sure though what Bubba does today. Does this become a mental game where Bubba just has to think about winning and winning at all cost? And I don't know if Richmond is the track to do that. And I know he's not good at road courses. I think Bubba Wallace's last chance to potentially make the playoffs will be at Daytona. His practice speeds were not great. His qualifying was okay, starting 11th, but 24th in single lap and 22nd in 10 lap, and he didn't do a 20 lap run. Has me a little bit concerned with Bubba Wallace, and his average finish here at Richmond is a 24.6. He finished 26th here in the spring, and only has 1 top 20 out of his 8 total starts. I'm fading off of Bubba Wallace. Now, just in case he goes out and does something crazy, I do have him in just a few lineups, but I would be fading Bubba Wallace today. Eric Jones, 7,900, starting 9th. Good starting spot for Eric Jones, but he also did not back it up at all. 7th in single lap. Okay, that's good. He never made it past a 5-lap consecutive run. I don't know if they were just happy with their single lap. I don't see that. I'm not sure why he only ran 17 total laps. I don't know if maybe they had an issue going on or they were just saving tire. I don't know what was going on, and never really heard any story about why Eric Jones did not do a whole lot of practice. But he's starting 9th. His average finish is 17.8. Don't love the starting spot. Don't hate the starting spot. I think Eric Jones is on the trend of performing much better than he was 7 or 8 weeks ago. He's heading in the right direction. I mean, I don't know. I think Eric Jones may start where he finishes. I'm not sure he improves much better than there. I do have him in 20-25% of my lineups. I don't know what to do with Eric. I did pick him as a dark horse betting pick. So I think Eric Jones could potentially do something here. I don't know. I mean, 10 total starts here at Richmond. He's only got 2 top 10s. Maybe I'm a little too heavy on Eric Jones, but not sure. Chase Briscoe, $7,700, starting 15th, 26th in single lap, 30 total laps of practice, 16th in 10 laps, and did not do a 20 lap consecutive average. His average finish here is 16.3. He's only got 2 top 20s. I think Chase Briscoe kind of finishes where he starts, and that's not good enough when you're starting 15th. So, yeah, I'm gonna fade off of Chase Briscoe today. I've only got him in 1 or 2 lineups at most. Ty Gibbs, can Ty Gibbs back up his top 10 and continue improving? I mean, every race he's improved. I think it was 18th and 16th and 10th last week. Can he get himself another top 10 this week? Ty Gibbs is good here. He won the Xfinity race in the spring. So yeah, Ty likes his style track. He likes every style track. He's good at everything he does. Practice speeds were pretty good. I mean, he was 27th in single lap, but his 15th in 10 lap and 11th in 20 lap. So he's got some long run speed. Doesn't seem to have the short run speed. If he can kind of serve for the first 15, 20 laps and let everybody wear their tires out, and Ty's still got some left, he can work his way up into a top 10 early. And can he hold it there? He's definitely got the ability. I've got him in 15 to 20%. Not 100% sold on Ty Gibbs. Don't absolutely love the starting spot. If he were starting in the 20s, maybe I'd have a little bit more ownership. But Austin Cindric, what happened to Austin in qualifying? They just did not turn a very quick lap. I don't know if the track conditions were quite right when he went out. But at $7,500, starting 33rd, Austin Cindric is definitely not a 33rd place driver. He was 3rd fastest in single lap, 6th in 10 lap, and 7th in 20 lap. He didn't have a great race here in the spring. He finished 20th, but starting 33rd, if he finishes 20th, that's a 13-point upswing for place differential. And I think Austin Cindric is probably easily a top 20 driver for this race today. I've got him in 25 to 30% of my lineups. I just think he can get himself way better than 33rd. He's going to be heavily owned starting 33rd. And there's a couple other drivers that are starting back here that are also going to be heavily owned. So Austin Cindric will probably be 35% owned. So I might be a little underweight on the field. But another Austin Dillon, 7,200. Starting 12th. Practice speeds did not back that up at all. 25th in single lap, 25th in 10 lap. Now Austin does run fairly well here. 11.6 average finish out of the last 5 races here at Richmond. He finished 10th here in the spring. All indications are Austin Dillon should probably finish where he starts. Yeah, I think he finishes where he starts, which is not awful depending on how this thing plays out. So 15 to 20% ownership. Got him 20th in the ranking system. So yeah, I don't mind Austin Dillon. Don't love Austin Dillon. I think he kind of finishes where he starts. I do like his car. It's a pretty sharp looking paint scheme for Austin Dillon today. All right, Brad Keselowski. And if you get a chance to look at Brad Keselowski's hood, it's pretty cool. It's like a visual of everything that's underneath. It's pretty cool. I do like Brad K's paint scheme today, especially the hood. So if you get a chance to look at the hood during pre-race, definitely take a look at it. It's cool. $7,000 starting 8th. He did not back that up in practice. He was 28th in single lap, 17th in 10 lap, 13th in 20 lap. Brad's pretty good here at Bristol. He's been running much better as of late. Did not run great last week, but at these shorter type tracks, he's starting to get his Ford Roush Fenway Keselowski car headed in the right direction. Finished 13th here in the spring race, so back when he was having some real struggles, he was able to get a 13th place here at Richmond. He does like Richmond a lot. 9.2 average finish, 31.3 Draftkings average. Scares me a little bit starting 8th, but yeah. You could sell me either way, but I faded off of Brad starting 8th. And that actually might be where his ownership comes in. Starting a little too high for what he's been running lately. But hopefully Brad can continue to head in the right direction. Eric Almirola, 32nd, 6,800. 4th fastest in single lap. 2nd in 10 lap. 1st in 20 lap average. And then he goes out and just screws qualifying up. Thank you. I will take lots of that. Starting 32nd, Eric Almirola is easily a top 10 driver here at Richmond. He's got an average finish of 13.2, but he does very well at these short tracks. I mean, heck, even if Eric Almirola is a top 15 driver, if he finishes his average finish, that's almost a 20-point swing. That's going to put him in the optimal lineup without any issues or problems. I love Eric Almirola, and I'm almost guessing that he will be in the 35 to 40% ownership range. It could be even higher than that, but I like Eric Almirola a lot. Starting 32nd on a PD upside potential, and he's got the price point to back up that place differential. Chris Buescher starting 18th. I mean, you didn't show me anything in practice that makes me go, ooh, I think you can improve on 18th. 29th in single lap, only did 28 laps of practice. 27th in 10 laps. You didn't make a 20-lap run. Only one top 20 in the last 5 starts, and he finished 15th here in the spring. I don't think Chris Buescher improves his position at all, so I will be fading off of Chris Buescher today, as you can tell, at 0 to 5%. Hit me up in the chat, guys. What do you think? Who can get the win today? Who can come from the back? Will it be Eric Almirola? Don't think Ricky Stenhouse Jr. improves his position either. We'll talk about Ricky at 6,400, 31st in single lap, 18th in 10 lap, and 14th in 20 lap average. So at least he ran quite a few laps, and he wasn't absolutely slow. But Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in the last 5 races has not finished in the top 10, and only 3 top 20s, and he's got a 20.4 average finish. I'm calling Ricky kind of where Buescher is. I think you're going to finish where you start, which doesn't do me a whole lot of good. So as you can see, at 0 to 5% interest in Ricky Stenhouse. I just don't. There's nothing there that makes me go, I got to take more of Ricky. Where we've got a Michael McDowell, who does not typically run well here at Richmond, but he has been on a much better run other than last week, where he ended up in that wreck. Really the only wreck last week. Or Michael McDowell could have continued on his tear of top 10s as of recent. I think he is much better than his 34th starting spot. He was 16th in single lap, 13th in 10 lap average. Only did 23 laps of practice, but that's okay. His practice speeds were much better than 34th. His average finish here is 26.4, but he also, that's kind of where he always finished. This year, he's been much better running in the top 10s. So I think Michael McDowell improves from 34th. Now, is he going to be a top 10? I don't know. Top 15? Possibly. Top 20? Yeah, I think that's very possible. And starting 34th at 6,200, I have a very heavy share of Michael McDowell today. So if Michael McDowell does something stupid early in this race, that could really end up hurting me today. But hey, hit me up in the chat. Got a few people out there watching right now. Who do you like today? Do you think Michael McDowell can move from 34th up into a top 10 spot? How about Eric Almirola starting 32nd? Can he work his way into a top 10 spot? How heavily owned will those guys be in Draftkings? Oh, all right. Haley's car is just not going to show up. Something happened, whatever. But Justin Haley, $6,000, starting 27th. He was fast in practice, 10th in single lap, 11th in 10 lap average. Did not complete a 20 lap average run. And remember, his average finish was in junk car last year. He did finish 29th in this race in the spring, but he was running much better than that throughout the day. Can Justin Haley improve from 27th? I think he can. I think he can get himself into a top 20. But at $6,000, we're starting to get to a point to where we're going to hit some guys that I just have no interest in, and we've got to run some of these cheaper guys to have some of the Martin Truexes and Kyle Bushes and Denny Hamlins today. Harrison Burton, 5,800. 30th in practice. Hey, thanks for scrolling your qualifying lap up there, kiddo, because you were fast in practice. 12th in single lap, 8th in 10 lap, 9th in 20 lap. He ran really well here in the spring race with an 18th place finish. Starting 30th, I think Harrison Burton is easily a top 20, if not top 15 driver today. He's really starting to get this car dialed in and starting to figure out how to race around these Cup drivers. I think Harrison Burton gets himself much better. I'm very heavy on Harrison Burton today, and I probably expect him to be probably not that heavily owned, but probably, I would say probably in the 18 to 20, 22% ownership on Draftkings. So I'm probably very, very heavy on Harrison Burton today. Somebody I'm not heavy on at all is Cole Custer, 5,700. Cole, I'll get your coverage here, bud. And you've done this a lot this year. You go out and you practice okay, and then you go out and have a blistering qualifying lap, and then you can't back it up in the race. Starting 7th, I have 0% ownership of Cole Custer today. He's got a 20.3 average finish here. He finished 22nd in the spring. Now, the one potential upside for Cole Custer is, I don't know if it's an upside, he is on a hot seat. If he does not start to turn his season around, I think Cole Custer could be out of the 41 by the end of this year. And there's lots of rumblings of that potentially happening, which could open the door for a Kyle Busch move over to Stewart-Haas Racing, along with moving the entire Ford, or moving the entire Toyota truck team that he owns over to Ford also. That's the most interesting rumbling I'm starting to hear. And if Cole Custer doesn't turn his season around here soon, he's not going to be in that 41 next year. All right, Noah Gragson, 5,500. Noah, you outkicked your coverage here, dude. Congratulations to Noah on getting himself into the 42 Petty GMS for next year. I think that's really good for him and really good for Petty GMS. He's feeling probably pretty good about himself. But single lap was 34th. 10 lap was 20th. 20 lap average was 16th. Say your single lap was pretty crappy, but you did go out in the second group, which was slower. But you backed it up with your long run speed, so which could be very helpful. I just don't love your starting spot and your experience level. So Noah Gragson, I think it would be a win if he can finish where he starts, but I think it's probably more realistic he's a 25th place driver today. I think Noah just needs to finish this race, run all the laps. He needs to try to hold on to the lead lap as best he can. So I don't expect any great improvement from Noah today. So don't have a lot of ownership. Ty Dillon, kind of the same thing. Yeah, get your coverage, Ty. 22nd starting spot, 23rd on single lap. Now his practice speeds were decent, 15th and 10 lap and 17th and 20 lap. I just don't love Ty's starting spot. He's got a 26.3 average finish and finished 24th here in the spring. That doesn't do me any good if you're starting 22nd, even though you are very affordable at $5,400. I would much rather take a Harrison Burton starting 30th that has a better average finish and better practice speeds. So if you can afford the $400 more, I think Harrison Burton is a much better play. All right, we're starting to get down to some of the guys that I won't have a whole lot of ownership, and I think Corey LaJoie may be the last guy I have ownership in at 5,200, starting 31st. He was 14th in single lap speeds, 29th in 10 lap, which is not great. He's got a 27.6 average finish. He finished 31st here in the spring. There is some PD upside potential here from Corey, but he's 5,200. So when I was making some of my lineups, he was kind of the bottom of the barrel that this was as far down as I was willing to go. That's why he got some ownership. But either way, Todd Gillen, starting 16th, he outkicked his coverage. He finished 25th here in the spring, and he was 32nd and 28th in practice speeds. No interest. Landon Castle outkicked his coverage also, but his average finish here is a 30.5. He's raced 20 times and only finished in the top 20 twice. So, as much as I like Landon Castle and think he's great for the sport, I just don't like him today. And now we're into no man's land where I just skipped right over all these guys. Cody Ware, starting 28th. That's way too high of a starting spot for Cody Ware. Practice speeds weren't even close to that. BJ McLeod literally did 1 lap of practice and 1 lap of qualifying and pulled it in the garage, which makes me go, well, what are you doing? Are you even going to run more than 2 laps in the race today and pull it in the garage? Start and park? I don't know. So no interest there. No interest really. I mean, if you had to go bottom of the barrel, JJ Yeley starting 35th, potentially. I think JJ Yeley will at least try to run all the laps, and hopefully his pit crew and his crew chief won't pit and leave him out sitting in 10th with old tires, as he was the issue and problem last week. Either way, let's go back and look through here. We're looking for at least 1, 2, maybe even more dominators. And I think from the group, Martin Truex Jr., Denny Hamlin, Kyle Larson, and Ross Chastain are all very potentially good picks. At least that are starting in the top 10. Those are the ones that I like the best. Place differentials, I mean, Kyle Busch starting 29th is almost a given. I just wonder if there's more mental stuff going on with Kyle Busch right now, and how much does he really improve throughout the race. But you can go out and put in a top 10. That's more than enough for what we need. Chase Elliott starting 23rd, Christopher Bell starting 21st. I mean, really the ones I like a bunch: Austin Cindric, Tyler Reddick, Michael McDowell, and Harrison Burton. Those 4 are probably my top 4 favorite picks. To finish good today, I think Joe Logano could have a good finish today. Kevin Harvick, Ryan Blaney. Can Ty Gibbs back up his string of top 20s? Very good possibility. He's driving the Toyota, and they seem to run always very well here at Richmond. William Byron starting 4th. I mean, he's been running a lot of short tracks lately. Can he hold serve and finish up there? Maybe. Value picks. Don't love the Brad K, but also think Brad K could end up having a top 10 today. But Eric Almirola starting 32nd, I think, is a definite great value pick. Justin Haley starting 27th, and yeah, that's kind of really about it. I did put these other guys in because they're value. So yeah, who do you guys have today? Who do you like? Who's coming from the back? Who's leading? Our optimal lineups from Richmond and Martinsville from earlier this spring. We had 2-ish dominators. William Byron led 122 laps here in the spring, and Martin Truex Jr. led 80, and they both finished in the top 5. We had 3 place differential guys. Well, no, not really. 2 place differential guys. Only 2 guys finishing in the top 5 made the optimal lineup from the Richmond race. So that'll be interesting to kind of see how things play out today. I think today's going to be similar, but much different. I think there's going to be a lot more pit strategy. I mean, there was a ton of pit strategy. Yeah, you were almost lost if you weren't listening and you were at the track. I think we're going to see something similar today. I think we'll see a lot of comers and goers, a lot of tire wear, a lot of pit strategy. That always kind of throws Draftkings stuff into quandary. So it's kind of be a little bit of a crapshoot, but it's not a crapshoot like we're running at a super speedway where, hey, you can just take the last, the cheapest 6 guys and you might actually end up winning the optimal lineup. This is going to be much more. We're going to need to find the guys that finish in the top 10 type plays and that lead some laps. So I think we're looking for at least 1 or 2 dominators. Same thing that happened in Martinsville. William Byron and Chase Elliott. Now, that was just a crazy, stupid race. It was 34 degrees. It had literally snowed before the green flag. It was brutal. I was out there for it. And, yeah, the tires just never wore and never became 2 grooves. So, yeah, looking for 2 dominators. Let's see what happened in 2 races last year here at Richmond. Denny Hamlin definitely dominated with 197 laps led. So 1 dominator there. We're looking for those 2 place differentials. Yeah, so that's pretty consistent. 1 to 2 dominators, and even in the spring race, we had Denny Hamlin leading 207 laps, Martin Truex Jr. leading 107 laps. Yeah, so 2 dominators, probably 3 place differentials, and then 1 of these guys that are kind of starting near the top 10 and finishing in the top 10. What we're going to be looking for. We're going to use most of our money. We had $100 left in the fall race last year, $500 left the optimal lineup in the spring race. $400 left in the spring race here in 2022, and $200 left in Martinsville. So we're looking at spending most of our money today. We're looking for those 2 dominators, 2 place differentials, maybe 3 place differentials, and then 1 good solid top 5 finisher. All right, so can Denny Hamlin repeat and or can Martin Truex Jr. Continue his string of top 5s and get himself a win today? Can Ryan Blaney hold serve? Or will we see something crazy from the back? Can Eric Jones and Austin Cindric potentially win? Or get top 3s or top 5s? I think they're good potential bets. So go hit up DraftKings Sportsbook, put your bet in there, and hey, let me know how you did. Hit me up in the chat. I am headed to the racetrack. You guys have a great one. We will talk to you next week. Have a great weekend. Bye.
Only about the W, so gotta be around at the end to do that. You ready to roll tonight, boys? Let's go have some fun. Don't get me any more fired up than I already am. All the way to the checker. You're fine. Nobody's got to run. Checker time, baby! Hell yeah! Proud of you there, Matt. Good job, pal. Thanks, man. Good job all day. Great work, my man. Great work. Keep putting yourself in position. We'll win our share, right? We got one back today, brother. Good job. Yeah, Porter, great job, guys. Excellent work, my man. Excellent work. Thank you.
Man, that's awesome. Set out with a goal we got in here, bud. Thank you very much.
Really proud of you, man. Drove your butt off tonight. We had the fastest car here, bud.
Probably killed our deal there. Just feel like I gave one away.
Yeah, boys. Way to rebound. Great job.
Great job, bud. Really good job. Appreciate you hanging in there with us all weekend.
What a weekend. Good job. Thank you.